friends, my name's Aviva, but you can call me Vivi, and I learned how to code entirely online, completely self-taught, just using the internet, only by using free resources and without doing any kind of degree or any kind of courses related to computer science before. Within just a year of learning computer programming, I got my first job in tech. I hope that this video and my other ones will make you feel excited to embark on the coding journey. So if you're excited about this as well, stick along and I think we'll have a really fun time. Learning how to code is a never-ending process. You always have something new to learn and always have a way to progress. And even if by some luck or superpower you've literally learned everything that there is to learn with coding, this field is constantly evolving. This skill has many upsides to it. There is a high demand for it in the workforce, and it's probably going to be a career that sticks around for a long time. It is also well compensated, as well as it just makes you a lifelong learner and also someone who is incredible at solving problems. I 100% believe that you can be a successful self-taught programmer and an incredibly skilled coder. You don't need to be a pro at math, and you didn't have to IPO your company at age 13. You just need to work smart and set yourself up for success. This is why I want to share with you this roadmap that I would love to have used if I started learning computer science and programming all over again. Before we jump into those though, I want to give you 3 kind of guidelines to use when you're going through this process, because for learning technical skills as opposed to other skills, it is a completely different learning experience, and these guidelines really help me a lot. Number 1, being intentional. This is really important because you can be crippled by the paradox of choice when faced with a sea of information just telling you how to code and which language is better and whatnot. This is why you really need to be intentional in the way that you're structuring your path. And this is important to do when you start. So this could be breaking things down into small increments, maybe giving yourself tests along the way that you want to do at certain dates, or being like, I want to learn the foundations of technological thinking for 2 weeks, then I want to move on to Python, then I want to move on to JavaScript, and so on and so forth. And by having this kind of structure, it will really make it easy for you to not give up, because you know that there's always the next thing coming and that these things are different, as opposed to one big block of stuff that's all the same. You could literally iterate the way that you learn anytime. You could do whatever you feel that is right for your process, but being intentional with your time and your process, even if you change it, will just give you a different mindset that will really help you throughout the learning process. The next thing that I want to talk about is being practical. Be ready to implement the things that you consume. Don't just take in information and a lot of notes from every which way, consuming it without the thought and the intention when learning it and producing stuff with it. Being in the mental mindset of applying these things will also really help you just be in focus of the things that you're doing, because you'll be thinking of, oh, I need to do this next. So what is that going to look like? And then the last mindset I want to talk with you about, be accountable. And this is important because discipline triumphs motivation. I'm sure you've probably run into this by now, but this is like a good reminder why it's so important to have a good structure around learning something like programming, because your motivation will naturally dip. You'll realize how little you know and how much more you need to know. But this should serve as a guide for you to just get excited and understand how you can better structure your life around programming. So maybe every day you do a little bit instead of really going gung-ho like once or twice a week on your material. You can have different ways to keep you accountable. It could be the way that you structure your room and your work environment, or maybe it could be just having a goal that is constantly kept in mind, like getting a dream job, a certain salary. For me, it's definitely being worried about letting people down. I'm so afraid of lying to people about stuff that I would just not be okay with the thought of telling someone I will do something and then not doing it. And before we dive into the actual process, I just want to share with you something my dad once told me. When I was going through the process of programming, I was really just overwhelmed. There's so much out there, and I didn't know yet to focus on one language and a couple of the other tips I'm going to be giving you. I was honestly like kind of disheveled. And I remembered something my dad told me when I started learning violin when I was little, and I sounded like a cat that was put into soup. I remember that he told me that everyone starts somewhere. And I think that that's just a really important guideline to have in your programming journey, because everyone does start somewhere. Some of the craziest people that do the most incredible things online have started somewhere. Everyone started somewhere and everyone knows what you're going through, so you're not alone. And also, if you have any questions or need any kind of support, please write in the comments below. And I hope that this channel will also serve as a community where everyone can interact and learn from each other. And I think that that would be really gratifying and really cool. So yeah, let's start with the process, guys. My first recommendation is getting a really good understanding of the foundations of computer science. So this is all the bits and the bytes, and once you have a good understanding of how things work, you can actually start implementing the code. Just to clarify the fundamentals, computer science is how computers work, and programming is giving a computer actions to do through code. The foundations are really important because this will really give you a good understanding of things early on, and you may run into problems later on if you don't know this stuff. I think a really good resource for this is the CS50 Harvard edX course, and I'm making a video about this one, so subscribe if you haven't already because it will be up in a couple of days. I really recommend doing one language at a time so you don't feel overwhelmed. I think Python is a really good first language to start with because it's so versatile, it's really popular, and its syntax is really easy to understand. If you decide to learn from resources like books or auditing or maybe even courses or YouTube videos, I really recommend always trying to implement what you learn instead of just consuming. This will really help you become a better programmer faster. I also really recommend having a coding community, whether online or offline, because you will run into a lot of things that can get sticky, and having people to walk you through different problems and solving them, or just sharing with you what they know, can be really helpful. So I'm really hoping that the community from this channel becomes that. Other than that, there's also a bunch of resources on Reddit and different kind of places that you can find a lot of guidance. Throughout the process, do not worry too much about taking notes. I think notes are really important, and having some notes will definitely help you. But I see a lot of times people who learn self-programming become really focused initially on the taking notes, and sometimes that can actually take you a little bit off track. Implementing what you're learning is so important because it will sharpen your problem-solving skills, which is your most valuable asset in your programmer toolbox. This is basically your superpower as a software engineer, and this is what's going to take you to that next level. Also, come in with this sense of curiosity to these problems because it will really help you with the time and the dedication and the perseverance that you'll need in order to do this. A curiosity mindset will make you an outstanding programmer, I promise you. I really recommend using free Codecamp and Codecademy because you're going to get immediate feedback on your script and you don't need to download a bunch of stuff when you try to use them. And also, if you feel like in any time these courses are just not suited for you, like, don't feel worried about quitting a course that you started. Just because you started it doesn't mean you have to finish it. You can try a different course. If you want to audit a course for Python, I really recommend that you check out Coursera's course, Python for Everybody, which really offers you a lot of great information for free. Also, Khan Academy, edX, Udemy, and even YouTube are really great free resources for learning how to code. Also, there are many languages out there, so don't worry about learning them all at once. Just focus on doing one at a time. Around here is where people start losing their motivation. They go through what's known as the dip. I think that this is caused in computer science and programming by the Dunning-Kruger effect, where the more that you learn, you realize how little you learn, and then you're just like overwhelmed by how much you have to go through. But if you manage to get over this dip, you'll be part of a very small percentage of people that actually took the time to learn one of the tougher skills out there, which is programming. And this will really set you up for success for future opportunities in the field. So if you get over the dip, you will start finding a baseline of motivation that is not as high as the motivation that you started out with, but it's more stable and it can actually go on for much longer. You need to realize that this is where the discipline aspect really starts kicking in, because if you've already developed a habit of doing some kind of programming every single day, this is where it's really going to start paying off. So if you're in that baseline and you've made it to the small percentage of people that actually continue and persevere to learn coding, you will have a very valuable skill that will open up so many opportunities for you in the world, and these opportunities are in incredible demand. You will be part of a very small percentage of people that actually learned code and have this really valuable problem-solving thinking. This will open up a lot of opportunities for you, and I think it's one of the most incredible things that you can have from coding. You'll probably have job stability, you'll always have work in demand. However, people do look though for good programmers, so we'll touch more on that in other videos. So now we moved on to the fun part, which is making your project. So maybe throughout this process, you've already started to ideate what kind of really cool programming project you want to do. I recommend starting with something that you're super passionate about because this will motivate you to continue. I know a girl who made a game starring her and her boyfriend and her dog, and it was super cute. Or I've seen like food recommendation apps and things like that. So your final project should be something that you're curious about, that would be fun for you to make. And later on, by the way, you can put that on your portfolio, start a little website, put up your work, and then when you're reaching out to future employers, they can see what you made. It's also gonna be really cool for you that you can see your progress later on. And maybe in 5 or 10 years, when you're like a super skilled mega developer, you'll be able to see the kind of stuff that you made early on, and it's gonna be a really endearing experience. So after you finish this project, I recommend becoming more familiar with APIs, as well as understanding Git properly, and then getting a good understanding of data structures and algorithms. It's been said a million times, the data structures and algorithms, but it's really important. Although some of the stuff can be really dry, it's really important to learn because this will help you understand how things connect to other things on a bigger level, as well as understanding how to store data and how to work with data, which is a huge part of this job, as well as maybe if you become a data scientist, this will be a really crucial part of your work. So maybe in this point of the process, you've started understanding where you'd like to niche down, whether it's AI or maybe it's web development, app development, or something else. This would be a really good time for you to start taking up an internship, maybe doing a project for someone, or getting a job that relates to the field that you'd like to learn more in depth. This will really motivate you to learn more things because you will be directly applying the things that you're studying. For example, if you have a new boss and they really need you to do something with React, this means that you're going to be motivated to learn this and be accountable for it. This will really bring your coding skills to the next level. So whether you want to be a blockchain software engineer or a data scientist, a front-end developer, back-end developer, or full stack, I think that this is a really amazing process for you to start your self-taught coding journey. It's definitely what I wish I would have started with, and I'm looking forward to sharing with you more videos about the ways that I wish I have learned and the things that I'm really grateful that I have learned in the way that I did. Remember, everyone starts somewhere, so don't get demotivated when things get tough. We're here. This channel is always here if you need a little bit of motivation. Give yourself a little bit of time. Spread this out over a couple months or maybe even years if you want to. And feel free to ask any questions in the comments if you have any. I'm really looking forward to chatting with you guys and hopefully opening this up to be an actual coding community. So I'm really looking forward to that. And also to help out the algorithm, I would really appreciate if you hit that like button and potentially subscribe if you want to see some more of my videos. So if you want to learn a little bit more, check out this next one, and I will see you in a couple of days. Bye friends, thank you so much for watching.